compared to June, it's increased about 111%. Most of the news, revolved around education and related stores, rates, budget, etc.
On page 12, I would say we have seen an uptick in our social media sites as well. And we've tried to post more than we normally would on Facebook as well. The other thing that we've started doing is engaging with customers on social media, because there are some customers that just like social media communicating. So we've started engaging with, and when they ask specific questions that we think we can respond to, then we get in touch with them and say, hey, we would like to work with you. Can you give us a call? We'll start investigating your situation. And so that's been pretty helpful, I think. On page 14, I guess that's what we just talked about. We're trying to use those as a customer service tool, social media, and money customer inquiries. So we get specific information that we can talk about. And also the folks that we
have. So the Han crew are monitoring it, but so is Jamie from customer service, and they've done a fantastic job, and they're really the ones doing the lion's share of the work, because every single person, you're gonna have some folks that post that is just, straight anger. There's not really anything specific about it. But anywhere that there's any sort of bill-related leasing and directly encouraging it, their finance contact person and saying, often they're calling them to that working it through. Really, the philosophy
we're going to treat it like it's all folks is they on social media, they reach out, call us, but we're going to regard like a call. I think a lot of them, you can speak specifically, I think a lot of them we've gotten some resolution. A lot of folks we haven't, they're angry about policy, politics or something, but we still want to make the effort to reach out to them to try to find some sort of relief.
I've had several questions about solar. Can you clear us up a little bit on our policy?
Sure. We've had several folks that have come about that, and we have a net metering receipt that we can send out to them. We're updating it, putting more information into it, but we've sent that policy out to several folks. It's on our website, the rate section. Basically, we adopted a residential net metering rate 14, and then this last budget cycle we got commercial net metering. One of the issues that we get a lot is that
folks will say, look at this and allow solar panels.
So we'll reach out and say, no, we have a net meter rate, more than happy to do it. You have to sign an interlocal agreement, and that puts you on the net metering rate. But the next step in that is that typically folks will say, we'll get rid because they'll say, yeah, but she won't buy back. And then we have to explain to them the full requirements contract Excel and all restrictions there. But once we get beyond that full contract, we'll have more flexibility to decide how we deal with solar panels, customer side generation. Of course, there's a lot of folks that say, well, I'm going to put a windmill yard on my roof, and then the city codes issues. In terms of solar panels, we have both now. We don't have a lot of folks out that have solar on the roofs. There's some. One of the things I try to always tell them is make sure that you're going to a reputable vendor and you do a budget analysis so that you don't pay too much in the install. That's fantastic. It reduces our loading.
There are steps on our website that just say where the interconnection agreement is. There's also a cover of that kind of helps customer understand what they have to do. Because there's more than just us up on a new rate. I mean, there's section requirements that the city would have to come in and take the system and all. So
We have it available and we obviously point folks to where that is, website, if they can't find it, but,
Well, a couple of neighbors have looked into it, asked me to look at proposals, and in both cases, there wasn't anything that was untrue. The proposal for the solar panels doesn't really cut on the full score. Just to reinforce what you said, you got to look at the total financial picture. And if these folks have gone ahead, the payback is still within, with the numbers they were given, probably 9, 10, 20 years. And the reality is not.
We've heard that from a lot of different systems around the state through TPPA. But Andy and I just anecdotally got a customer that was furious. He came in and he said, you guys are ripping us off because I'm not getting what the installer said that I would get. And then we asked him, we said, well, how much is your typical electric bill? And he said, well, in the summer it's probably about $350 at max. We said, how much did you pay for your panels? And he said, $33,000. And I said, well, again, it's fantastic that you did it, but if you just look at the pay, it's going to take a long time. So we always ask that you look at the full picture. But again, overall, when people put the solar panels in, I think it's great. It's,
Another thing you might mention when you get inquiries is one thing you want to look at is, well, it's stressed out about 8, since I've been here 32 years, about every 7 years you get a new roof. If you look at the cost of maybe the solar panels hold up, if you have solar panels and you got to have a roof replacement, then you've got some costs there. Maybe the insurance covered, maybe don't want. Well, risk involved with it.
On page 15, the business office recap. Down at the bottom, I wanted to call attention to some of the footnotes. We didn't meet our KPI this month for service, but there were 500 more move-ins and move-outs this month compared to the same month last year, along with a significant increase, high volume of calls for high bill calls that had to be investigated. Those take time. So overall, I think there was some, it was a busy month where there was still an improvement year over year. And by the way, I agree with what Matt said earlier. I think our customer service managers are doing a great job now compared to a year or two ago. And there was significant training. I saw a copy of the training program that they're taking the CSR through, having to do with high bill complaints. And you would not believe how involved this training program is to just the steps that you go through to investigate a high bill. So we're working with our CSRs. I think most of the comments that we've received from the public have not been addressed towards bad customer service. They're more in rates, meter reading, things like that. And then going forward, I think the next step is for customer service is the Cooper bill changes. We expect to go live in September, so there's been a lot of legwork going on, training CSRs, training our staff personnel on how that's going to work. A major change for the way that our systems work. It will allow a lot more customer-friendly ways to pay your bill, ways to interface with us. So that's going live in late September, so we're looking forward to that. Bottom of page 16, I wanted to call attention to the load graph at the very bottom of the page there. You see our high for the month occurred on the 26th of July. 564 megawatts. That was when the high temperature for the day was 97 degrees. We had 7 100-degree days in June, and our peak, and we had no 100-degree days in July. So temperatures have moderated pretty significantly. The high in June was 576 megawatts, which was higher. It's very unusual for June to be higher than July. But that was on an 111-degree day, so temperatures have moderated pretty significantly. Even in August, you've seen with the cool fronts flowing through and the rain that we've had, temperatures are moderated pretty significantly. So I think going forward, bills are going to be lower than what we saw after June when we had those really hot temperatures for June. Some higher bills that went up, and probably higher water usage as well. On page 17, on the
system average interruption duration index, which is on the right-hand side, third graph down. We finally had a month when the 12-month average went down. The July 17 was better than July 16. We still had a number of outages, especially early in July, around July 4th. We had some major thunderstorms to go through. But the trend is moving down. Hopefully we'll continue that way. And then at the very bottom on the notes there, I wanted to point out that we had a series of breakers that didn't operate the way they should have. It caused longer outage times than what we should have experienced. We had the substation department go out and do functional breaker testing on every breaker in their system, and they completed that work in July. They found a few things. I haven't seen the final report yet, but they hopefully identified some problems that were corrected that it won't cause more lengthy outages in the future. Equipment operating like it should. Then on the commercial construction report, we added 6 customers to the list this month, and we completed 6, so it's kind of a net gain of 0 for the month, but still quite a few new commercial businesses coming in. On the customer concerns and complaints category, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. As I mentioned, we've had a pretty high volume of calls from customers, and the concerns relate around meter reading, rates, rate changes, the fact that we're a monopoly, things like that. So we've been pretty active in trying to respond to those. We've increased our social media presence. We've added some things to social media to try to give customers ways to manage their usage, to ways help them understand their bill, things like that. We've received some criticism for some of the postings that we made out there, that it was that we were addressing something other than the problem they were concerned about. But anyway, we're trying to communicate. We're trying to improve our communications with customers, and there's more that we can do going forward. At the city council meeting last Thursday, we were there and had a couple of citizens that commented before the city council. The gentleman who started the petition was there and made some comments, basically reiterated this position that he had started on the petition. And there was a good discussion, I felt, from the city council. I think we had an opportunity to address a couple of questions. Ms. Gibson asked a question that I responded to in regard to whether we could even deregulate our system if that's what the governing body decided to do. Water competition and things like that. And then there was some specific issues asked of Aubrey Spears, the manager of the water department, about the process that they follow to do water surveys when they have a high bill complaint on water. So he gave a response on the steps that we go through. And at the end of the meeting, the mayor made some comments and directed Jared and I to establish a couple of public meetings by the end of August, where we can invite customers in. Probably we'll have 2 different meetings on 2 different occasions, possibly one on the weekend. We'll have all the different utilities represented there. We'll have the opportunity to visit with customers one-on-one and show them how the meters are read, and have some mock-ups there of different things that customers might be interested in. Probably won't be able to address specific billing questions at those meetings, but we can follow up at a later date and get their concern and follow up with them at a later date. So I think this will be a good opportunity for us to address some of the concerns that we've heard from the public.
Do you have any idea where you're going to vote on?
Probably we'll be in a couple of schools if we can get access to school, because school will be starting here pretty quick, so that will be a challenge. But Jared and I communicated just this morning about what we need to get going on this. Jared, I don't know if you have any comments you want to make in addition.
No, I think that's a good summary, David. We are looking at doing the elementary schools, don't hold it in the city facility, LP&L, get out there, get in the neighborhood. I think we were looking on Wednesday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Sound right? Yeah.
Something like that.
We're looking forward to it.
Evening meetings?
Evening during the week, so the Wednesday would be like a 5 to 8, 5:30 to 8:30, somewhere in that neighborhood, and then Saturday probably midday.
So we'll have stations at these meetings. It'd be very similar to what we had when we had the open house for the transmission right-of-way meetings, which I think a couple of city council members attended those as well. We'll have stations set up around the room. We'll have experts there that can talk about specific concerns that customers have. And then we'll have note takers there that will be writing down the comments that we've received, follow-up requests that we have, and then all that will be compiled in the report that will be presented back to the city council at the first meeting in September. That's the plan.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Ms. McCallum,
Yes, sir.
I think our messaging is very important, and here's why. We have the second highest utility rates in the state. If you look on page 16, only El Paso is higher than us. In October, the base rate is going to increase, so the rates are going to go up again. Also, during the summer months, we've only been charging 50% of the pass-through rate if we're paying to SPS, because the strategy was, it's going to be a hot summer, we'll catch up, we'll keep the rates lower. Well, if you'll look at today's financials, the pass-through catch-up is going in the wrong direction. And we've had a cool July and a cool August. So I can see in October, we're going to have to raise the pass-through rate to actually charge what we're paying SPS. We can't continue to lose money. And so it doesn't matter how much electricity you're using. When you're the second highest rate in the state, you're going to have issues with the public. And we have a mixed message out there. I mean, the mayor on the front page of the LP&L of the Avalanche Journal talked about how we're a regulated monopoly out of Austin and put us on the same page as San Antonio and Austin and Amarillo. And that's just totally false. We're not regulated. Only the transmission lines inside the city of Lubbock are regulated by the PUC. Everything else is in control by this board and the city council. And when you have messages like that, it's a wonder that the public is upset. And we really have a problem that I've seen over the last month with our messaging. And it needs to, we need to either, this board needs to set some standards on what we want and who to speak for LP&L, or we're going to continue having these mixed messages. I saw one posting on social media that was in response to an LP&L staff member who said, well, that person's confused. And that's the wrong kind of message to send us, call the public confused. They may not understand all of the issues, but that's because we don't speak to the public. We have been very good at talking to the elites, the 10% that go to the Rotary, go to the Lions Club, that go to Chamber of Commerce and LEDA. In fact, that was one of the things we asked you to do, is to call the elites. Well, the city works pretty good for the elites. It needs to work for the non-elites. And we're not doing that. Nobody's reaching out to them. And we have this closed-mindedness that we don't have to talk to the average guy going to work every day. And we need to change that. And if we don't change it, we're going to continue to get worse and worse and worse, especially with the fact that our utility bills are not going down. And neither are the water bills. And I don't know what this board wants to do about it. I'm going off in October. It's not up to me. But the rest of y'all need to start doing oversight. And you need to start setting the parameters for what you want staff to do. And we're not doing it. we're failing in our job. It's not the staff's problem. It's not the city council. It's us. That's all I have to say, Mr. McCullough. Thank you.
Are we a little constrained about what we can say since we haven't gone to this before? It seems like our guys can make a difference. We can't talk about it because we're not saying, does that make a difference?
Well, the simple concept of the fact that we have a agreement with SPS that says all of the power that we give to the ratepayers at LP&L has to come from them. We can't provide power from anybody else. We can't provide wind power. We can't go to another provider and say we only want 20% of the load from SPS this month and we want 80% from you. We agreed to that monopoly. We don't have a monopoly. SPS has the monopoly. That is not being communicated to the public. And they're going to continue having that monopoly because we signed another contract with SPS that I opposed for that reason. And that contract gives a monopoly until 2021. And we're probably not going to get into ERCOT by 2021, so we'll renew it for another year. And the public needs to know that SPS is going to continue having that monopoly until 2023. And their pass-through rates are the reason we have the second highest rates in the state. That's the reason. It's not our base rate. We're not communicating that.
Not getting into details, I just want to make a point that I disagree with a great deal of what you just said, but I'm not going to turn this into some kind of, point at each other and get nice because that's not necessarily wrong. I appreciate you feeling it. I realize you do feel it. I don't share all the time.
I wonder,
I do think that Charlie is correct on our failure to communicate between the base rate and the pass rate. And it's hard to understand that. If you're just going to work every day and, this is something that if they don't understand, they don't know about the contract, they don't know what we're bound by. And so maybe these meetings that you guys are going to have will be an opportunity to lay that out in a way that anyone can understand it. That's the problem. When I sat in these meetings, there's a lot I didn't and still don't understand. But I think that's a good opportunity to do that. The other observation I have based on the emails that I received, because I don't use Facebook, is that they still see the LP&L bill as being their electric bill. And when you start breaking them down and saying, okay, now wait a minute, how much was just your electric this month? How much was your water? And then they kind of begin to go, oh, okay, this is not all electricity. So we still haven't been able to do that. The lady who spoke at council meeting the other night, she started off on her LP&L bill, but she ended up, it was really her water. On top of that, she has a swimming pool. So, the other thing, and I don't know what your training is, I assume that you get a call about the city utility bill, and that they are handling water, electric, services, and everything. And in our proposed budget, we're going away from that average water consumption. And they're going to have to be careful because nobody understood that except those who were smart enough to use water in the winter. We're going to have to do a lot of explaining about that. I will say this, that we have in the budget a proposal to give relief to, because we were going to raise the base rate, to give some relief to those who use 1,000 gallons of water, basically each first 1,000 free. Charlie, in an effort to help those people who really can't stand a $50 increase on their base rate. And so there's just a lot of that that's coming, and it's gonna take a lot of detailed explanation for a customer to understand it. I use this all the time, dumb it down, get it simple so I can understand it, and so anybody else can understand it. Otherwise, they think we're playing a shell game with them.
Well, Barry Zane recognized that very problem. And for years, before I came on the board, he wanted to separate the building of all of the city utilities from LP&L. He wanted the city to bill for theirs and LP&L, and the board was set to do that when it changed over. That is an inefficient, terrible way to handle it. How we're handling it now is how it needs to be handled. And so I don't really know how you're ever going to convince people. We're doing that end of it. The new building is so much better than what we've had. It is really, I mean, but you're never going to change the perception that this is your light bill that comes in, and everything on that is LP&L's issue, especially since we read the water meters. We control that end of it, even though we don't set the water rates. We mean LP&L board. So I don't know what you can do. That is a very thorny issue that I don't know if we can ever solve it as long as it's all billed by LP&L. But the other stuff, there's no excuse, regardless of how Jerry feels personally. There's no excuse for our messaging this last month. There really is not. It's been terrible.
I just want to make a comment. I agree with Charlie on the communication issue, and I challenge, I don't know where these meetings are going to be held, these public meetings, but I challenge the city council persons that are here to really get out in your areas and make these meetings aware, make people aware of these meetings. Because in my community alone, District 2, I live among citizens that just don't understand. It's either a language issue or either a cultural issue, and they're very intimidated to call, unless they reach a boiling point, to call down here and complain about an issue. Because if they call to talk about an issue, they're going to be talked to in such a way that they don't understand what the hell's going on. And that's why I challenge the city council persons and us, whoever's involved in coordinating these meetings, to have people at the meetings that can communicate with everybody in the area. We have been guilty of being upper echelon communicators. We do not communicate with people on an average level that can understand what's going on. You know, I can't tell you how many times my doorbell has rang this past couple of months. And I'm like, hey, back up off of me. I'm one person. I don't understand a lot that's going on myself, but look at your bill. It's not all electric. It encompasses sewer, water, storm, everything. They don't take the time because nobody's ever explained it to them. Or explained it to them until the rates have gotten so high that they can't do it. So my challenge to whomever organizes these meetings, us, city council, council persons, let's have them get it advertised. Word of mouth. Sheila and I know how to get to District 2. We still got experience in campaigning. But and so does Juan, to get these people out to these meetings so they can understand. I will make myself available to be wherever, whenever, so we can talk to people in a language they understand, in a lingo that they understand.
Will our new billing system help with this? Is it going to be clearer?
Well, I think one advantage that we'll have when we get to AMI will be that right now when a customer has a complaint about their usage, you know, I was on vacation for 2 weeks, there's no way that I could use that much water or electricity. the thing about the AMI is that it accumulates information on a daily basis or even hourly basis if you want to get that level of detail, and you can demonstrate very clearly, it's not just one meter reading compared to the meter reading the month before, it's a whole history of, specific data that will help you explain to the customer what their usage was and where it occurred and when it changed and things like that. So I think that part will be extremely beneficial. Because, it's very hard for us to counter a complaint like that when a customer says, there's just no way I can use that much water or electricity. We read the meter reading this month, we read last month, and occasionally we'll have a misread, fairly low percentage, but if we have a misread, if we read it correctly, then the usage is what it is. It's like when you go to the gas station to fill your car up. If you put 25 gallons in your SUV, that's what you use. You can't go inside and argue, well, there's no way I could have pumped 25 gallons. I only pumped 15 gallons. That's what the meter said. So I think that's where it will really help us with usage information, being able to show the customers the history. In fact, we'll have it set up where they can look at it online in real time, more or less real time, see what their daily usage is, and they won't get a surprise at the end of the month.
Yeah, it'd be pretty clear, this is water, this
You mean, I know, what percentage when those calls come in, is it electricity or is it water? Whenever it actually went on the bill and they didn't know, $200 last month and it goes to 500, is it, okay, yeah, what's your water or no electricity? Because that's what I've seen out there is most of it's water. It's coming back to, when you see a social media post, is, the meter wasn't running, there's no way it's that much water. And it's not about the actual electricity side, so it's helping out. That's what you hear on that side, the other side of your water.
It is a mix of calls. I think we've had a lot of water calls, more than, it's probably, still about half and half. You have to keep in mind, looking at the statistics, in June over May, there was about a 40% increase in consumption for residential customers, and that's pretty standard. So people's consumption is increasing about 40%. On the water side, it's about a 25% increase from May to June this year. Now, that's unusual. In the historical in 2015, it actually went down from May to June because of rain. Last year it was flat from May to June because of rain. This year was a dry June. So we had the average residential customer use 9,000 gallons this month compared to last year about 6,000 gallons. So there's been a substantial change in the usage patterns in water this year than we've seen in prior years. So I think that's why we've had a higher incident of calls on water, because it was a drier June, there was more consumption, and so there's been a big increase in the water bill because of the higher consumption. Same thing with electricity, but that's more normal. Our electric patterns it's about that 40% increase every May to June every year. It's been very, very consistent. And so it's still a shock to customers when they get that June bill because it's so much greater. We've had rate increase for the summer season, which we're doing away with for next year. And then we have the increase in consumption. So there's still a lot of upset when they open that June bill because of a variety of things, but there has been a little bit of a change this year on the consumption patterns related to water. So I think that's driven more of the water upset than we've seen in the past.
And one of the things that we've talked about with the board is that when we make this transition over to Cooper here at the end of September, that the way that bill looks, it'll all be bashed in the city electric utilities. And that's really trying to drive home that idea that it's not just electric, it's all of these different utilities. And the folks in the call center, a lot of their focus when those calls come in, as they answer city electric utilities, it's going to be, what is the source of your concern? And what area can we kind of go over and discuss with you? And so hopefully that'll kind of open the door for us to communicate, if you have a water issue, here is kind of your recourse versus electric. I know I've got a lot of folks that I talk to that regularly say, water. And I'll try to explain it with separate water rates. But ultimately they say, yeah, but when I look at my statement and I call that number on the statement and talk about water, the person answers LP&L. So tell me how LP&L doesn't control that policy, doesn't control those things. And so, it's certainly not any effort to dodge responsibility, but I think a lot of the frustration from customers comes from when they try to ask a question about water and it kind of gets explained on the back end. They end up showing up at the council's doorstep saying, every time I talk to LP&L, they try to say it's us. And I think we just upfront that communication has got to be better. And I think, Charlie, you're exactly right. I think that our messaging needs to be way more diversified. I've talked to Andy a lot about this. I think one of the things that we need to do next year is we need, over the winter months, we need to build up exactly what our message is going to be. And that message for the summer needs to start in February. This year alone, looking at natural gas prices, we talked a lot in these board meetings about natural gas prices and where that was going to take our cost in the summer months. But I don't think we got out there good enough ahead of time to explain how natural gas affects our costs. Or SPS, true-ups, all those different angles. I think we need to start that early. If you get into the summer months and you try to start a campaign to educate in the heat of summer, it's going to be really hard to break through. You've got to start that way earlier. And so, I put that a lot on me. I've got to do a better job. But I think that starts in the winter months and carries through. So that when you get to summer, you've got several different areas of communication that you can. If we've got something like happened this summer that didn't happen last summer, the summer before, but if you're in July and you have that uptick of folks concerned, you're not caught flat-footed. You're not trying to explain something away where it seems like you're making excuses, but you've been saying all along that this is what you need to expect. And that's right. I agree with you. I think that's where we need to do a lot better job, and that's my shop. And that's the goal of this winter, is to have a program in place by next spring that covers all of these different areas, for sure.
One thing I do think will help, messaging is going to be fine, but I think what's going to help on both sides, water and electricity, is having one rate, not a summer and a winter rate on both sides. I think that's going to help.
It's very hard for the council to explain that we have not had a council approved rate increase when they see the base rate change for May and June. It's very hard to say, they're not going to differentiate the average customer between something that is a new increase and something that just increases every year standard. And the more that we can flatten out those rates, the more, and as we move into the AMI era, the more that David said we can point to consumption and we can troubleshoot it that way, as opposed to saying, okay, well, my consumption went up, but my summer rate kicked in, and then there's this pass-through thing.
That just has fuel and fire.
It does. I agree with Charlie, and I don't know where on social media that cropped up, but confused, I hate that word. And it's just a rule of thumb. When you're talking about the public, if it's a voter or if it's a customer, it's never a good idea to say you're confused. That's just not the avenue you should go down. So I don't know where that popped up, but it shouldn't have. But whatever you want to call it, confusion drives a lot of what's going on this year. We've got to do a better job of knocking that out early and doing that education early.
Oh, I was just going to say, I appreciate everyone's comments, and they all revolve around, most of it revolve around communication and being able to communicate more with the average customers, making it understandable for the average customer that may not be, may speak different languages or primary language, may have some cultural things going on. And so that makes it extremely challenging to fashion a message that applies to everybody, but that's certainly something we can work on. But I guess I have a question for y'all, and that's, we've spent a lot of time establishing Facebook. We've done some radio spots. Are there other forms of communications that y'all think we should move towards that we haven't been using? We haven't done a lot. We put bill stoppers in our envelopes. We haven't done a lot of media purchases. Is that something you think we should do?
Is it, participating in more radio talk shows of a different variety? I know that was a suggestion Mr. Chavez had made last week, and we can certainly do that. What are your thoughts on how we get the message, how we improve our messaging, how we communicate with the average customer?
My suggestion, David, would be to start out with the meetings that you have in process right now, the community meetings. And like I said, challenge the council persons and whomever's involved here to get the residents at those meetings, to establish that face-to-face communication and contact. I'm a big social media user, so you hit me at all angles. But I don't think purchasing any TV time or airtime or anything, everybody's at work, they're not gonna watch TV or listen to the radio, they're gonna work out anyway. But I just believe in personal contact, personal communication with residents. I don't mean to demean any race, any particular person, any socioeconomic class of people. But sometimes you just have to get in the grinches and communicate with people. And that's a very hard thing to do, because when you looking like you look, and I'm not being insulting, come to my community and try to talk to me about my bill that I can't afford, but you can't afford, I can say things to get people to understand that you can't, it will be insulting to them. So I think we need to grassroots start communicating, open lines of communication with all over the city and start from there. Personally, I don't think purchasing any airtime, even PBS, or even if it's in more public services, I don't know. I think we need to be based on those hands on.
I don't know how we can communicate, but I think we also need to explain, feels to me, and I'm certainly not understanding exactly what it's doing, but I feel like the best thing to do is moving in a good direction. And I think that, like the rate increases, they're because instead of waiting until it's time to do it, we've been very responsible about saying we're going to start with small increases so it doesn't kill anybody, and we're going to go up. I don't think people know that we don't get them. I don't think they realize that we don't have access to, that we're not part of this instant demand. I think we need to have people more aware that what we're doing is adding to our savings account so we can get these transmission lines built, and that there's a real advantage if we get into to having the power lines expenses. That may be what is telling us, maybe I'm wrong here, but that the entire system will help support this, and that once we get in there, we don't have those pass-through costs that come up and take us inside. We're paying for what we're using, not for what we might use. So I think there are a lot of things that we know, because we've already reiterated to us that maybe the guy on the street doesn't have as much access to. And then what makes me sad is that they think we have a negative monopoly instead of seeing that this is a real vision to move on. Let's get out of the trenches where we don't have any control over, where we don't have any say over what we do. Give all of us more potential to live in the future, share what others do.
And that's one of the stations that we're going to have set up these meetings, to talk about our supply, our God, what that would do for us, and how you mind some different things.
I think that, and I've said this before, one of the advantages that co-ops have over municipal utilities is that they have an annual meeting. And all of the members come to that annual meeting, and it allows them to talk about current projects, allows them to talk about it allows you to talk about past, present, and future. looked at those because I don't think that it would be a bad idea to take a look at every single spring, having something like this where all the utilities are present, you know, having something that is kind of like an annual meeting for the co-ops that allows us to get out there and explain everything, but also educate about what's going to come in the summer months. And I think you're right. There's no silver bullet in terms of communication. There's no, well, if you do Facebook, that should cover it. And I know there's always been an aversion to spending any money on buying media, but the one thing that buying media does allow you to do, because we did it with Vericom rollout, and we've done it years past, but we didn't do it this year, is that when you place these media buys, you can set it up so that internet-based sites, you know, you have those pop-ups and different things that come up, those news banners that you can talk about policies you have, and they click on it and they go to your website. You know, you've only got a quick snapshot to tell somebody about what you're doing, but if you can get them to your website, and you've got a lot of good information on that website, then they can read more. And so, again, coming into this next spring, over the winter months, you know, my focus is putting together a more comprehensive package that probably includes some media buys for education, includes open houses, includes all of these different areas. But I think you can get all of them. And when it comes to, you know, publications, it's not just the mainstream ones, but it's also, you know, the Southwest Digest, Latino Lubbock, and all of these different avenues. So you make sure that you're touching all of these different places. Because I think sometimes we get too constrained and say, well, if we just talk to the main media sources and we do the main radio shows, that aren't covered. I think that reaches a specific audience, but I don't think everybody in Lubbock is watching Phyllis and KFYO. They're not there either. I think it's got to be way more comprehensive.
I was just gonna say, I agree with this statement. I think media would be the last on the list. I think it's the last one. I know my daughter, son-in-laws, grandchildren, that are teenagers and all that, you know, if you put it on Facebook or Twitter, they're gonna be aware of it. Put it on TV ad or, you know, social media buy stuff that's traditional, then they're not gonna see it.
And I find it interesting that we went down to TPPA, and I drive from San Antonio to Austin to go to the meeting with the governor's office. As I was driving to Austin, I had on the radio, and the spot came on from Austin Energy. It said, you know, have your bills gone up this month? There may be a reason why. Go to our website, log on, and find the different drivers of your consumption and or call us. So again, I think it's, you know, you're trying to put it out there so that any random passerby might catch your message and be driven to your main sources of information.
You're welcome to go in that area, so I'm involved in this, but, you know, no doubt in my mind we can do better. I think we all agree. I'm not here to try to say everything's wonderful. We need to do better. My perception from, you know, not working with the staff like you guys do on a daily basis is that we play, you know, a whole lot more defense than we do offense. Sports around which I can't help myself with. But I just, you know, businesses, so these restaurants, you know, that you read in the paper, people are going out of business, and the free enterprise system, you don't have continuous improvement in place all the time. And, you know, at some points, we're different because we get to stay here as long as to when the electricity unless there's, you know, some major changes. I hope we're doing a whole lot more offense than, you know, we as board members may not be aware of. That's certainly.
No, I think we do. I think we do way too much defense. I don't think we get out there early enough. I don't think we get our message out there early enough in different areas. Obviously, that's an issue that I think needs to be resolved.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. When it comes to communication, we can't leave out any of the media, be it print, be it TV, radio. Charlie made reference to the 90% of the people out there. A lot of those people can't afford their utility, let alone computer. So we've got to make sure when we reach out, we're reaching out to that group of people that they understand what's going on, the importance of this meeting, where it's gonna be held. Granted, Ms. Hill, we need to reach out one-on-one, but there's a lot of people out there that have been affected by the rates. Can we successfully do one-on-one? Yes, we know who the people, our constituents are. You know, I can't reach out to everybody out there. There's 43,000 people out there. I can't do that, one person. So somehow, it's got the envelope stuffers that we talked about. Make sure that when you do send out those envelope stuffers, hopefully it'll be in Spanish as well as English, which I'm sure it is. We just gotta make sure we reach out as many people, touch as many people as we can with the time that we have. Where are these meetings gonna be held? I'm sure that the time has a lot to do with it, the time frame has a lot to do with it. Again, I urge you, we gotta make sure that we contact as many people as we can, give them the avenue. There's no, yes, sir.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say, I think Ms. Hill raises a good point in terms of talking to every single constituency. I like the fact that we participate in a lot of your community meetings.
Yes.
I think we need to continue to do that. Jamie did point out that we talk to about, we have direct contact with about 20,000 people a month through the call center. And we've certainly tried to impress upon them that you've got to win back the public's trust one call at a time. But there are a lot of folks that called in 3-4 years ago, probably had a bad experience, and are probably intimidated to call back in. And so that's where we reach those folks at y'all's community meetings.
And I get the calls that they're waiting on the phone 30 minutes, talking to one person, can't answer the question, then they get transferred to another department. They're doing phone tag basically, and not to a great amount, but I do receive these phone calls. Something to think about. You know, we're talking communication. It's critical. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Not to belabor this, but I just want to ask a question. Is there a group of individuals that help with the PR? Because we can sit and talk about and throw up ideas all day today. We probably be here till tomorrow morning without me. But is there a group that actually helps to do the best, that can put together some ideas and folks, a pretty diverse group of individuals that may even kind of direct you in which way to go in this? Because in all the conversations that you said, you still miss some folks that in my community that you'll never get. So that's what I'm saying, if we can get, if there's a group of folks that can make this happen, you know, so that when it gets done right and that it is a continual process. Because you're not gonna be able to reach everyone, but if you continue to work at it, you'll start getting some holes that you would have missed otherwise.
Right, and we work with Han Public Communication out of Boston. We have for the last 3 years.
Let me break it. Anybody in town, a group in town, that's what I'm saying, other than yourself, that will know the folks that are in these communities, that can point you to say, hey, I'm over here where, you know, the silver-haired folks live, and this is what it takes to get to these folks. They have some issues, and nobody's heard them. They're not called, nobody's been by, they're just paying their bills with their funds. So I'm just thinking some people locally, or a group of folks locally that will work with you and direct you to the places that you can really make the impact.
That's a really good point, and you know, through all the different groups that we talked to, we honestly get invited back quite a bit. Every time I talk to groups, I always tell them if there are others that you speak to that you would like for us to come address, please let us know. And I try to get out there as much as I can every month to do that. Certain months, obviously, I can't kind of touch all of these different groups.
You need some folks helping you do this.
But I do try, and to your point, it does take a group effort throughout the community, because I can't tell you the number of times that I will go to one of these different groups and speak, and somebody will come up to me afterward and say, hey, I've got a book club, and it may only be 15 people that go to it, but we meet at this library once a month, and we'd love for you to come chat with us. And that's a huge component too, just to try to see out these disparate groups around town.
I think everyone's made some great comments. I think we should be careful not to get lost on media platforms and websites, and I think those are part of the solution, but I think the best thing we can do, and I can speak to the examples that I've dealt with, is continue to build our culture of customer service. I live in a world where if I don't take care of my customer, they go somewhere else. We don't live quite in that world with electric service right now, but we need to live in that world. And that's where we should set our expectations. I think it starts with our, in the trenches, like Stephanie says, and it starts with the people, our folks out in the field, and it starts with our folks answering the phone. And that is where we can have the greatest impact. Are we providing our customer service teams the greatest resources that we can possibly provide them? Are we working the workflows? Do we understand if we can't answer this question, how quickly we expedite the call so he's not getting called about somebody waiting on the line? But to me, if we have the greatest impact is in that customer that has the challenge is calling in and we can quickly address their concerns, that will be more powerful than anything you can put on social media.
I agree with you. We've seen that trend in the right direction, especially over the last year in terms of, Jamie does a lot of surveys. She does random surveys. She also does surveys that go out and propose that specific issues. And we're seeing a lot of good reaction coming back. But it does take a long time to win over kind of call by call. But I think that's a huge component. And I think that works in lockstep with you bringing on better technology and new products for them. But I think it starts at the very first phone call that comes in. Really good.
And the new billing system may address this, but I dealt with two issues identical this month on we misread and then we pushed the billing off to this giant month. But we didn't communicate them that we did a catch up on their bill. And we failed on those. I mean, that one, those don't fly. If that's the case, if I mischarge somebody and find out the next month, I don't get to collect it. That's my problem. And
Jamie's, how can I say this? The culture before Jamie came in was that it all comes out in the wash. If you're low one month and you're high the next month, everything kind of equals the same amount. And I think Jamie will tell you that for each one of these folks, they're talking to them about, this may be the case, but we'll set up a payment arrangement for you. We'll help you through these. I think that you have to do that because you can't assume that just because at the end of 12 months it all equals the same amount.
Yeah,
having
that's
a high
not a
bill in
great
June
answer.
is not going to put somebody in a bad spot. So she's telling her folks you've got to work with them on it.
you do, and you need to make sure she has all the resources she needs so that she can address some of these things. Because it's going to take an army, and it's going to take high expectations. And we don't have any option but high expectations on how we handle our customers on this.
And that's what we're doing through the new billing system, but that's a few years off. So we know we can't just wait a few years to
You're
change
right.
things. And so even though that's on the horizon, we are doing everything in our power today to provide first call resolution, to provide the training for our CSRs that they've never had before. I mean, we had call center reps that have been here for 15, 20 years that never had ongoing training. We have implemented that. They are having constant training, just like the high bill training that they all went through. Everything that we know that we're going to encounter in an upcoming season or throughout the year, they're getting intensive training on it. We are trying to teach empathy for our CSRs. They are in the trenches. They are a lot of times in a lower socioeconomic, situation that our
Sure.
customers are. So they get it. They understand.
And those are the right things to do.
Yeah, and
We
so
just need to continue to build.
our focus has changed over the last couple of years. We have KPIs in place. We've taken benchmarking statistics from all the utilities across the country. Jamie and Michelle have done a phenomenal job of changing a culture, but it's like turning a cruise ship. We're still
Aircraft
just,
carrier.
like this, And so the frustrating thing to me is that customers who called for years and gotten treated poorly, year after year after year, they stop calling. And all they do is they call you.
Yeah.
And they say, I'm treated horrible by LP&L. Well, they didn't give us a chance. My request today is give us another shot. Sure, we may still mess up. We've still got people that are on the front end of their new training, And so, but I think by and large, if somebody called today that called 4 years ago, they're going to get a whole different attitude. The lady that came to the council meeting the other night, she got up and said, I talked to a lovely lady on the phone at LP&L. Was music to my ears, you know. That's what we want everyone to say. I hate my bill, but I love the person I talk to. You know, we want them to love their bill too, but that's impossible in the electric and water and utility, universe. And so I don't want y'all to think that we're sitting idly by waiting for a new billing system or waiting for, people just to, move on to a new topic or something like that. We're working hard every day. Jamie and Michelle are working very hard. Meter reading is a big issue. Michelle has a new supervisor over meter reading who has put an enormous emphasis on accuracy. I think historically the emphasis was on speed. Today it's on accuracy. And so they are going through extensive training that they've never had before. They are getting, disciplined for not doing good reads. We have folks on 90-day performance plans who can't do their job at the expected levels that we want. But we do hire new folks. We do have turnover. New folks have a high error rate. Go try to read an electric meter that has 6 or 5 dials on it. It's hard, especially when you have binoculars a long way off. Meter readers, I don't think are that hard to read. They're nasty and dirty down in there. But, that's not as hard. The electric is hard. So you're going to get 400, 500, 600 errors a month at least. And that's being 99.7% accurate. You're going to have that many people. And you're going to hear from them with the social media having, at the level of frustration that's out there right now, you're probably going to hear from every single one of those because they're hearing it all over the place. And, so anyway, that's just.
But one of the things I'll just add on real quick to what Andy was saying, and Ty being in charge, is that, Michelle and Ty have implemented that. I know you've seen some of it, but Ty's going out and meeting with folks in their alley every opportunity he can get. I don't know the exact number, but gets in countless meetings this summer back behind to go out there and show them what's going on. And if it's a misread situation, he's taken the junior meter reader that misread that meter out there to the alley to sit there and talk to that customer to show him that when you miss that meter, this is the result. There's a real life result to this. It's not just somebody maybe gets some numbers wrong on the page. And so again, driving home that idea that it's more about accuracy than it is speed or anything else in terms of what we're doing.
I just have one comment. When you have these meetings, whether it's 2 or 3 or 10, I think you're going to end up more than 2. Don't wear suits and ties, polished shoes. Dress casual. Yeah. So that they're approachable. Yes. Because honestly, people there's no one here to speak from the citizen comment portion. But when you walk in this room, there are all these people in suits and ties. And then, you usually do.
We have one in your pocket.
And it does make a difference. I promise you, it does make a difference.
They will make it more to Andy, but going back to what Charlie had concerns about on the pass-through rate, is there any assessment of progress right now to determine the future of that particular item?
Right. We started in an under-collected status about 6.6 million or 6.1 million this year. Right now we are under-collected about 5.5 million. We are on track. We believe that we'll end the year about 2 million under-collected. So the last few months have been in under-collected statuses, and we knew that. That was part of our forecast. We knew that the rates where they're set today would not over-collect until the July, August, September timeframe. So we still anticipate over-collecting in the next 2 months about 3.5 million. So we'll still be short of matching what our payments have been to Excel, but we'll caught up a good bit before the end of the year.
You anticipating that big hit?
No, and remember, when we hit October 1, we'll go back to winter rate. So the rate will drop a little bit down, on the base rate, on the energy portion of the rate. The pass-through, we haven't determined where that will be yet, but historically, though, the rate that we have set now for the pass-through is an over-collecting rate. It brings in more revenue than we might normally. So it's elevated, and so I would expect that it will continue to over-collect. We may have to bring that down a little bit. We'll have to review all that with all the projections and everything, but I don't think it's all up. It will be if gas continues to go up. You have to keep in mind too, you know, I was mentioning a while ago, consumption is way up in the month, like it normally is, about a 40% increase. But natural gas is 33% higher today than it was a year ago. And so that's part of the pass-through rate. And so you have a lot of movement when you go from May to June. But that's already been factored into those pass-through rates, is that higher natural gas cost. And so hopefully, I know consumption's been off this month because of the cool weather and the rain and all of that. It'll help the bills, but it may not help us on our collection status for our pass-through. But we're going to continue to monitor it. We're going to continue to make incremental changes. We don't want to be volatile like we've done in the past. And, you know, so we've been under-collected for the whole year, you know, but we're inching our way out of that. I don't think, you know, we're going to do everything in our power to not have any more increases than we have to, you know, but there's so much of it driven on the commodities and all of that it's completely out of control. But I'm not quite as concerned as Charlie. I think as you mentioned a moment ago about the pass-through, I think we're still on track to at least be within our margin of allowance, you know, where the board and the council has set for us to remain. So we'll be within that realm. It's just we may not be evenly collected or over-collected by the end of this fiscal year, but I would anticipate going forward, we'll still get there.
Listen, I'd like to thank Charlie for bringing us down this road of discussion.
I have a question. I just heard you say something that really bothered me. What we tell people is that we are just passing through the energy cost. It is exactly what we have to pay. But then you said something about, well, that cost is a little bit elevated. What are you talking about? Are we putting anything on top of that pass-through?
Over time,
Yeah, that's the message problem that we have. If you remember, in February, we changed, you guys voted on it, because we had some unanticipated costs. And if you'll look at, and this goes into the financial, we should just probably move on to the next issue and let Andy discuss that. And I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's been a good and violent discussion. I just hope that the words meet action. Okay, it's all part of the pass-through.
you know, let me answer Councilwoman Joyce's question though. It is strictly a pass-through, but remember, over time, we will either over-collect or under-collect. We never our revenues never exactly match our bill to SPS. And so we're always chasing that target to where those revenues and expenses are equal. Well, we have passed through less expense to our customers than what we've paid to SPS over the last year. So we have basically subsidized the bills for our customers over the last 12 months. So the rates are set to get us out of that hole, to bring the revenue collection back to where it evenly matches what our invoices are to Excel. We track this on a monthly basis. We report it on a monthly basis. The ultimate goal is to match revenue to expense. Our revenues are less than expense right now. And so that's why our rates are elevated, to bring us back to where we'll be evenly collected again. So that's what I meant. Yes, the rates are elevated more than they would have to be if we were evenly collected when we began the fiscal year. But we started under water because of all of those surprise charges that we had from SPP and SBS and things that were unanticipated. We continue to have those. I continue to be scared just to throw a whole bunch of money in our models. That, you know, we have to go off of what we know historically, what the charges have been, how they've been calculated, but we keep getting these unexpected surprises, and a lot of it's because other utilities' golden spread has left SPP, and it's left us with more of the charge with SPS. And so things like that, you know, things that they missed, errors they made, that we ultimately pay for. But,
so truthfully, what you have is, on an average, on an annual average, you're passing that through, but not on a monthly basis.
Right. And I talk about this a lot on interviews, radio, and everywhere else. The world that we lived in before this rate stabilization model was that summer of 2013. And there were a lot of things that created the firestorm that was the summer of 2013. But we used to have the true definition of a pass-through, that we would get the bill and we would set the rate for the next month based off of it. And part of what happened in that summer of 2013 is that pass-through, which is 70%, went from 6.7 to 6.9 to 7.3 as you stair-step from May to June, July. And everybody out there, all caught fire because they said, you just keep increasing my rates and my consumption's the same. So this was more in line with what most utilities do, which is setting that pass-through on a seasonal basis so it's flat and then you catch up or you go down based on the volatility.
I was going to ask if you guys had enough energy going out on 7.
Let's do it.
I'm ready. I'll take some more. All right. Going through the rates, what I wanted to do, as we always do, is show you where the average customer is related to their bill. And so you can see in June, as those summer rates kicked in, the average residential customer using 1,000 kilowatt hours would pay $119.44. One other thing I wanted to layer on was just that these are the prices of natural gas over the last 24 months, just so you can kind of understand some of the reason why that's ticked up 4 times over the last year. If you look at, I mentioned this a moment ago, last fiscal year the average natural gas price was $2.29 an MMBTU. This year it is 33% higher than that at $3.04 per MMBTU. So the majority of the reason for those upticks in the average customer bill is mostly related to the natural gas increase over the same time frame. Comparison of XL Energy, you can see we're just very slightly above where XL Energy is. They also almost mirror image increase that we did in the summer. And of course, a lot of our costs are very similar to theirs based on that purchase power, but just slightly above XL Energy. The state average, or the survey average, we survey a hand select group of utilities that we compare against MOUs and a few IOUs across the state. The average of that is about 112. That's the group that we've been looking at. Over the last 24 months, this is a shorter time period than I've been showing you at the previous board meetings. LP&L customer has still paid less than the average XL customer by about $25 over that time frame, and it paid less than our survey average of about $59 over the same time frame. So even though we're at the top end of that right now, over the term of this, we've been at least in line with XL and really below XL and the survey average over the same time period. Now, the pass-through, you can see where we've been in the red. We have collected less revenue from our customers than we've spent for purchase power, and it's in the last 3 months, it looks like it's trending down. That matches with what our forecast and what our model had shown it would do. So it's not out of line from what we had expected. We knew that in the July and August timeframe, there will be substantial overcollection of revenues at the same rate. The rate doesn't change, but just the volume will bring in the additional revenues to help get us. We will at least be within that blue area. We will be, right now, this is where we want to be. Our low end of the version is 3.5. So this would mean we dipped $3.5 million into our reserves to compensate for that under collection. So we've even dipped beyond that into the $5.5 million range is where we are currently. So, but we do anticipate that ratcheting up probably to be about in this area by the end of the fiscal year.
If you look at not this past October, but the 2 before that, or August, you can see the blue line ticks up in August to show.
Yeah. This one here is the over or under collection for that particular month. So you can see that we've been pretty close to being almost evenly collected each month here. It's not pulling us out of that. But yeah, you can see at the times here where we have over collections in those months. Any additional questions on the pass-through for now?
Andy,
right now $5.5 million under collected.
Yes, sir.
And by October 1st, we're going to have that reduced to only $2 million.
About 2 million, that's correct. So we expect to over collect about 3.5 million over the next 2
Just in
months.
the August through September,
Yes, sir.
even with temperatures like they've been in
Well,
July and August.
that'll be yet to be seen, but I don't know how far off our actual temperatures have been off of the norm, because we don't, you know, we calculate, our model is based on the average temperature over time, and I'm not really certain how July or August compares to the norm. It may be slightly cooler, but, you know.
And I don't know the exact elasticity of demand related to temperatures, but yes, we'll have lower revenues as a result of lower temperatures, but our SPS bill also won't be as high because we didn't use as much. So there's a flip side to that coin, that it's not just higher expense and lower revenue.
What happens
They move
is,
together.
what happens in September is that you're billing really for usage in July, so generally your usage in August. So there's a lag time in the time it's used, the time and so forth. And then your power supply cost in September will be down because usage is down, temperature is good or something. And the same thing happens in October. You're billing for September usage, but October is really, one of the low months for the year in terms of usage and power supply costs. So you have this reversal that happens in the fall months that allows you to catch up. Generally, not always, but generally.
Any other questions on that before we move on? All right, just wanted to highlight a few things on the, first of all, the income statement. You will see that this year our operating revenues are about $21 million greater than the prior year, and that's driven off of higher purchase power costs. You can see in the operating expense section, our purchase of fuel and power is almost $19 million greater than the same period last year. So that all goes into what I was talking about earlier, the increase in the commodity that produces most of our electricity is driving an increase. There's also congestion costs and additional costs that we've seen this year in addition to the natural gas impact, but still we've seen a substantially larger amount, by the amount of about 20% higher costs this year than we saw last year. That's really what sticks out the most in the income statement. If you go down to the bottom, the change in net position, we're actually positive change in net position this year of about 2.1 million. This time last year we were about 1.1 million negative, so it's about a $3.2 million improvement on where we were this time last year. On the balance sheet, on the asset side of the balance sheet, cash is down this year. A lot of that has to do with the under collection. It also has to do with just the time of the year. By the end of the fiscal year, our cash grows as the last couple of months sees higher dollar volumes come in. Restricted investments are our bond funds. We just issued about $17 million in August, and so we'll see, at least at the August financials, you will see that restricted investment number increase as those proceeds will be received by the end of August. On the liability side, again, nothing much really to highlight other than the bonds payable is down. It will be about flat a little bit once we bring in the new bonds that will be for the long-term portion of those bonds. We'll add back to that. So that'll even out once we hit year end. Budget comparison, at the present time, you will see that we're about 67% of budget on our funding sources. Compared to about last year, we were about 65%. So we're very close in line with where we were this time last year. On our expense side, we're a little bit lower than last year at this point for our cost center expenses compared to budget. Our power plant fuel is up a good bit. As you'll see up above on the off-system sales on the revenue side, both of those are up as we've gotten better and better in knowing how to offer our units into the market to have them struck and generate some revenue to offset some of those fuel expenses. Fund level expenses are also basically right on track. So we're about 70% of overall expenses this year compared to about 69% last year. So not very much different than what we've seen historically. What we have done this time, though, is we've formulated a forecast to how we think we will end the year. There's a lot of things, I'm always nervous to show this because there's so many things that can happen in the last 2 months of the year when the majority of our activity takes place. But we feel like we're very much on track. Our revenues almost spot on with what we had budgeted, and our expenses, cost center expenses, are a little bit lower than budgeted. Power plant fuel we're expecting it to be about 76% of budget. Purchase power, we're right on track. Now, we remember we did do a budget amendment in May or June that revised our purchase power estimates because we had not anticipated them being as high as they have been this year. So that's why that's very close. It's been a more recent change in our budget. But everything else was the original budget that was proposed last year. So right on track. And then the last slide I have is just an overview of the capital program. You see right now we have about $26 million in bonds outstanding, about $8.7 million in cash that's been unspent on our projects. And then below you can see the handful of projects that we had expenditures related to for the month of June. About $1.4 million was spent on capital. Still a little bit light on the capital expenditures just due to the fact that there's so much under design and engineering at the present time. That'll really be a different story over the next several months as some of these larger projects really get into high gear. And that's all I had. If there's any more questions, I'd be happy to answer. All right, thank you.
Brings us to item 8, consider a resolution recommending to the city council, in accordance with section 2.415E of the code of ordinance of the city of Lubbock, one appointment to the board of the West Texas Municipal Fire Agency. Richard, would you like to bring it up?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this got by me. The mayor was appointed by the city council for the unexpired term of Mayor Glenn Robertson. And that term expired in December of last year. There is no harm in the fact that as an officer, Mr. Buck continues until replaced. And so he has continued to sit as a board member of WTBA. This resolution will recommend the reappointment of Mr. Buck for the council to consider this next week.
So you're suggesting a motion in favor of that?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of Mayor Polk being reappointed, say aye. Those opposed? Okay, that brings us to the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone wants to discuss or pull? Okay, then. Number 9 is consider a resolution authorizing the director of electric utilities to execute a purchase order to Wallace Construction Company for LP&L roof replacements at Massey Hill Station. Item 10, consider a resolution authorizing the director of electric utilities to execute a contract by and between the city of Lubbock, acting by and through Lubbock Power Line and Aspen Tree Expert Company for LP&L tree trimming services, annual prices. And number 11, the last item, consider a resolution authorizing the purchasing manager to execute a purchase order to Electrical Power Products Incorporated for LP&L protection and control panels in Rockworth, Southeast Texas.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
All those in favor of consenting the agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Brings us to item 12, and everybody who votes for that can stand up.
Chairman?
Yes.
This is the property value here. What's it all about?
Talking about the manual? Yeah. I think Olivia said that that's an updated manual that was released 3 or 4 years ago.
Just that updated some
Just the
information.
normal functions of the board.
I must have said that during discussion.
So we didn't talk about it.
Normally we update that, we pass it out to board members as an orientation